You spin me right round. Okay, I'm not going to do the rest of that. We go deep to find the latest Windows exploits, and you get a job, everyone gets a job. These stories and much more in today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by OIT VoIP. Enhance your client's communication abilities with our VoIP solution, featuring integrated billing, on-demand training, and live US support. Collaborate seamlessly with Microsoft Teams integration and put your entire phone system in your pocket with Mobile X. Improve your offerings and increase profitability with reliable service for 1/10 of the average MSP acquisition cost. To learn more, visit oit.co or dial 844-CALL-OIT.
Good morning and welcome to the August 25th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Ray Orsini, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
Excellent, brother. Excellent. I mean, we got a great weekend starting in like 15 minutes when this is done. And I'm
out of here.
I'm out. I'm done. How are you doing? Got any weekend plans? Talk to me.
I think I have weekend plans, and like most husbands, my wife told me what they were, and I don't remember, but I know for a fact I have plans. Now, what those are, I'll tell you on Tuesday's episode.
When she tells you.
What about you, dude?
Yeah, well, Florida, I wasn't going to say that I'm going to barbecue, but there's like 5-minute increments of rain along the way. So I don't know. I don't know. Probably just, frankly, clean the garage is kind of my thing right now. I've cleaned out my, you know what I did? I dyed shorts. Don't ask me. The shorts, I really like these shorts. Kelly's like, throw them away. And then I was like, I'm going to go buy some of that dye and dye them in there. And they're like brand new shorts. I know. I'm
is that like, what is that? RIT or like RIT? Or one of those?
It is. Like, I have like, so the bottle there. How do you know? You're domestic too.
Because
you
my abuelita had the same shit, bro. Like, same thing, man. I was just talking on the MMN meeting that we were talking about, like somebody was talking about like making custom shit. And I'm like, my great grandmother used to make all of our costumes, all of our anything. Oh no, it was Phil. Phil was talking about his kid not having a cape. I'm like, you have curtains, make it happen.
Where is that talent? Anyway, so talk to me. What's going on? What are we talking about today?
So, there's also excitement outside of your life and my life. Crazy to think of that. But Elon, the quintessential, everlasting source of stories. Thank you, Elon, for all that you do for us. Now he's going to be removing headlines from news articles that are shared on X, formerly known as Twitter. So this is brought to us by Kylie Robinson from Fortune. She says that Elon's going to be changing how news articles appear on X. It's really hard to say X. I can't keep saying X. Twitter. And it's going to be removing headlines and text, displaying only the lead image and the URL. And the publishers must add text manually when sharing links. The goal is to reduce tweet height, combat clickbait. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But it's also going to change how the advertisers are getting data and pushing data from this. So there's no release date yet. But you know, these are changes coming. It does affect the algorithm of what gets risen to the top. External links are going to have lower priority unless a bunch of people jump in on it. And of course, X itself has had no feedback whatsoever on it because why would they? This is just
there wouldn't be a headline
stuff Elon does. Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many questions I have here. You know, it's that conversation of there's this very, very, very singular distinguishing point, the difference between the guy with the crazy tinfoil on his head and the Nobel Prize winner. You know what that is?
What?
The Nobel Prize. Is he crazy,
but
or
is
this something
crazy or genius, or both?
Or is it like, dude, you cannot screw this up anymore? Hold my beer. I mean, let me remove the headlines.
Talk about persistence. You know what else we're persistent at? The news. Why don't we get into that?
Let's get into the news. Jumping straight into my first story from darkreading.com, more than half of the browser extensions pose security risks. Spin.ai analyzed 300,000 browser extensions and found that 51% had high security risks, especially those used with SaaS platforms like Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 on Chromium-based browsers. Many of these extensions can access sensitive data and run malicious scripts, particularly concerning work and extensions in cloud software environments, with 56% being high risk. The study highlighted a fake ChatGPT extension that compromised Facebook accounts as an example. Organizations were advised to carefully evaluate extensions considering developer credibility, permissions, and past security records before the installation. Ray, it's going to hit home entirely too close to home. ChatGPT, what do you mean I can't trust? So for those of you who, for the edification of those in the audience, and by that I mean not a single person that's listening to this, extensions in Chrome are a huge, huge benefit because you can do things with these extensions that, frankly, automate and move things along a little bit more easy on a web page that has a lot of information to ingest. You can summarize that, you can condense it, you can actually do some correlation of multiple pages, you can write that into a document or reference it in a document. You do a whole bunch of things with these extensions, and then to better it, with ChatGPT, you can create your own extensions. Now that the extensions themselves, some of which are ChatGPT extensions, are fraudulent or dangerous or high risk, this is going to affect a lot of people outside of the norm because these are easily installed on the end desktop. So Ray, my question to you is, how do you fix it? How do you stop this?
So I'm opening, remember that one time when you were like, we were talking web browsers like a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was. And I know you brought this up on a Notable, which will point wherever that is, somewhere. But remember that one time where we were like talking browsers and we're talking like Firefox or Chrome or Edge, and you're like, no, I use Dolphin or Opera or one of those. And I made fun of you, and I made fun of you for it. And now I feel stupid. Like, because if you use Chrome, I'm just looking, I have 12 extensions on my browser right now. And if I use Chrome, and if I use Edge, Edge can use Chrome extensions. So I'm wondering, is this like from the poisonous tree? And I don't know, that Dolphin browser is looking real good right now. I'm just saying. Or Brave. No, you were using Brave.
That's what I like Brave. So Brave is also classified now as one of the most secure of the browsers, and I'm a huge fan of it. However, it is still Chromium based, and I believe you in the nicest way when I'm sitting there, like, let me tell you how much better I am than you pedestrian. You said, boom, hey pedestrian, sit down. That's Chromium based, and I said, you are right.
Because there was a Chromium bug at the time, a flaw 0 day. Yeah. But in this context, you win though. So maybe
I don't know. But so how do let's talk to the MSP community for a second. So this is a question for you, Ray, and no pressure or anything, but you need to answer this for everyone. How do you stop the ease of installation of browser extension? Now let's pause that conversation and push it to the side. First question is, how do you stop people from implementing software applications on their desktop, their laptop, and their phone? There are, mobile device management tools, there's Endpoint, there's Auto Elevate, there's Threat Locker. There's a variety of things that you can do to stop things from occurring there. Great. You know what that doesn't stop? Extensions on a browser. Fast forward, and by that I mean rewind. How do we stop people from installing that stuff?
So there's an app for that. Ironically, so no, Chrome has their enterprise management console, which you can absolutely lock down profiles, what gets installed, how it gets installed, what's available, what stores it has access to, the registry keys, the SSL, the certificate stores. I don't remember if it's Chrome or Firefox. I think Firefox uses its own store and then Chrome uses Windows. It's one of the two. Somebody in the MSP community will yell at me for getting it wrong. But Chrome has management. Absolutely. We always look at it like Apple has their iPad management and their device management. And we all know about Chrome's for the Chromebooks, that there's that management. But they absolutely have it for the browsers too. And you can control Chrome from Intune. So if you're one of those nifty MSPs that is using the cloud and using Intune, you can absolutely set policies on Chrome. So, I think this is the point where MSPs can show their value and say, we're aware of this, but this is also how we're combating it. Also, 98% of MSPs I talk to don't manage Chrome, so maybe get into doing it. Maybe we'll do a TD on that with somebody at some point.
Okay. let me just tell you right now, we're past our time for the story. You've already answered. You've literally just given the MSP community not just, hey, here's how to resolve this issue with these extensions, which it's an absolute imminent problem, but you also gave them a huge opportunity right there. Let's see what else you can do. Can you talk about, I'm just throwing this out there, if there was a problem with hackers trying to gain access to Windows, is there a solution for that? But can you even talk about that, Ray? Talk to us.
Listen, as Vanilla Ice said, if you got a problem, I'll solve it. So in my second top story, new stealthy techniques let hackers gain Windows system privileges. This is written by Yonat Yasku for Bleeping Computer. Security researchers have unveiled No Filter, a tool leveraging the Windows filtering platform WFP to elevate users' privileges to the system level, which is the highest in Windows. It's invaluable in post-exploitation scenarios, enabling discrete execution of code with elevated permissions for lateral movement within compromised networks. The Windows filtering platform API, primarily used for filtering and modifying network data, is the foundation of No Filter's abilities. Deep Instinct researchers have carefully created 3 distinct techniques to boost privileges designed to evade common security solutions. The first discreetly duplicates access tokens via WFP, granting system-level privileges without drawing undue attention. The second manipulates an IPsec connection and capitalizes on the print spooler service, typically overlooked due to its association with legitimate privileged user actions. And the third technique permits attackers to acquire another user's token for lateral movement, exploiting the OneSync service and synccontroller.dll. With these 3 techniques, they may attract hackers and penetration testers. Reporting them to Microsoft Security Response Center resulted in the company stating that the behavior was intentional and implying no expected fixes or mitigations. However, Deep Instinct offers detection methods for these stealthy attacks, including monitoring IPsec policy changes, RPC calls to spooler OneDrive sync, token LUID brute force attempts within WFP ALE query token by ID calls, and unexpected device I/O requests to WFP ALE by non-BFE service processes. I know that was a lot of OPP, UNITY, a whole lot of acronyms, but the TLDR, and I'll Eli 5 for you, is that Microsoft says it's a feature, not a bug. So that's what we're going with.
It's a feature. So here's an interesting. Now I'm gonna throw this out there. Okay. So for those of you in the security industry, in the security genre, for the real propeller heads out there, even for those that are just searching, yes, we know about the different types of attacks or processes and signatures. So you have signature based, which, okay, this does this. So there's a signature and we're going to either react or not allow it to come in during the payload component. We have IP reputation, which is the source where it's originating from. Let's prevent that. We have anomaly based, which is like, hey, this is outside of the normal. Let's chop this off. And then heuristics. So those are very, very, very simple security 101. You understand how the exploits are being looked at and either reacted to or possibly prevented. I'm going to throw out a scenario. Since Microsoft has this database of signatures, of IP reputation filtering, of anomaly, of heuristics, do you think they could almost leave the door open just enough to where you're coming into a hyper-siloed, air-gapped environment, but it has been exploited and people are trying to beat it up, and maybe even give them with a little bit of work, they can get a little bit further, but nothing can really be affected in the computer. So they can document IP reputation, signature, heuristics, and anomalies. So they can then create this database, expand it organically, And I'm just throwing that out there as a scenario because, in my opinion, that is like a win for everyone. Of course, it would give me anxiety, but it's like, don't worry about it. Just let it flow. What are your thoughts on that? Was this for that purpose? Are we going to find out next year that this is what actually happened?
So this is very much like Steve Gibson was talking on Security Now. There's another feature. There's another feature. Where, speaking of heuristics, Windows has a time service that if it cannot check its NNTP servers or NTP servers, it will guess at the time using a bunch of metrics, but it will guess at the time using SSL certs and some other stuff. And so Windows did this for the gotcha of, if you have no connectivity, if something's wrong, you still need time. Your system needs time. Like, that was the basis for the whole Win2K like kerfuffle, which didn't lead to anything. But still, there's this one computer in like Alaska that got screwed up from Y2K. But
the sky's falling.
but the point of it is, it would cause computers, because it was so poorly implemented, cause computers to jump forward 137 years, jump back 40 years. And I think this is another thing like that. Microsoft created it for a specific use case. They understand the need. The use case makes a whole lot of sense. The problem is it's completely lacking guardrails. And while I love getting on a roller coaster and you put that little buckle on and you're like, this does not seem safe. Like, when it has that kind of leeway, you're kind of freaking out a little bit. But that's part of the fun of the roller coaster. I don't want my Windows operating system to have that kind of excitement.
I was just going to say, so what you're saying is that it should not be a roller coaster. It should be predictable, stable, and wow. Well, I don't know. I was throwing that out there because, I like thinking about, well, what ifs? Let's invert this. Let's like, it may be thought way ahead. It's one of those scenarios. Let's pretend that this happened in the past and that we planned for this to happen. What could we have gathered from this if we planned correctly? And when you look at things like that, you kind of go, hey, I'm taking a new perspective of appreciation. And frankly, what you also think about is the things that you're currently doing and saying, wow, maybe I need to address what I'm doing now in a much more strategic vision. My strategy is no longer a collection of knee-jerk reactions, and that may be the trigger to set that forward. I'm sorry, I feel like we could talk about this all day long. I hear heuristics.
No,
I'm like, oh
no. You know what? We've done 2 scaries. What I want to do is I want to flip it. I want to bring it back to some happiness. Tony, tell me you got a happy story for us.
I can make that happen. Let's do it. And in my second story from CIOdive.com, the tech jobs market is normalizing as July unemployment dips. In July, employers added 65,000 tech positions, with the tech sector gaining over 5,000 employees, reversing the previous trend of layoffs. Tech unemployment dropped to 1.8% from 2.3% in June, below the national average of 3.5%. Despite layoffs in late 2022 and early 2023, many tech workers quickly secured new roles. The demand for tech talent remains high, challenging 2/3 of the executives to find necessary IT workers. To address the talent shortage, many employers are focusing on upskilling. However, job postings declined in July, with 204,000 compared to June's 236,000. So Ray, here I am telling you the positive news. We're so excited. Unemployment dips. It's 2.3%. It's amazing. But at the same time, you and I are executives. Where are the people to hire? You're stressing me out. So,
I can't say anything. We started 2 people last week. I'm starting 3 more on the 18th. Sending 2 job offers.
Hold
right
on,
now.
I'm going to stop it right now. It's your fault those numbers are declining. It's your fault.
So there's nobody left because it's me. No, but it's good because I love to hear this, because we were talking already earlier in the year, oncoming recession, things getting hella bad, tons of layoffs. We reported on the hundreds of thousands of layoffs. Most recently, the yellow trucking story, which we'll link in the show notes below. It's not an IT story, but it is a bunch of layoffs, and it sucks. So, we've seen that. At the same time, we've done stories. Let's see if I can make poor Phil do this. We've done stories. Oh, shit, it's this side. We've done stories where cybersecurity professionals were getting burned out, and it was hard to find cybersecurity professionals. It wasn't for a lack of jobs. It was for a lack of people that wanted to do the jobs. They wanted to go into goat farming or avocado raising or whatever.
Who doesn't want
And
to do that?
that happened. I mean, that happens a lot. The number of IT professionals I talk to that have another hobby that is so non-technical in any capacity. You with the BJJ, I have friends that actually have avocado farms and chicken coops, and like this is their thing. Anything away from a screen, which is great. But so I love seeing these new jobs. It's the quality of the jobs that I question. When there's more jobs available, I do like the fact that it makes the employee have more power, or the prospective employee. I'm a big advocate for grill your prospective employer. Find out everything you need to find out. You're going to be getting married with them. Okay. In some cases, your career lasts longer than most marriages in the United States. So
about 50% more.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Hell, one of our banter stories was somebody who worked at McDonald's for 27 years without taking a day off for sick. You know what I mean? So you're going to a long-term relationship, get all the information, ask them, let me talk to another employee. Let me talk to other people I'm going to work with. Let me talk to somebody that's going to tell me how my day is going to be. I'd like to speak to whoever will be my direct supervisor to see if I mesh with them. These are reasonable requests. You're not asking a whole lot. How many employers sit there and ask you, do a personality test, do a Myers-Briggs, do a disc profile, give me a mock pitch, give me some example of your work. Employers ask that all the time. Employees
Ray,
do the same.
As my work husband, I would like to ask you, as my work husband, I would like to ask you, since we have gone through, by the way, my son had a girlfriend. He's in 8th grade, had a girlfriend for 3 days. 3 days. So I want to point out that our relationship has lasted longer. Other relationships.
I mean, we've lasted over 100 episodes, sir.
143, 146 episodes. Anyway, so here's my question to you. Can you, for our audience, make suggestions on how to keep talent and keep that relationship better? So you mentioned DISC testing, I believe it was, and Briggs-Myers, a variety. There's a variety of tests out there. Is there anything that you can repeat that list again for a personality test to make sure that the relationships that are out there for the employees, that are the other executives in the MSP world that are killing that number, you're driving it too far down, it's all your fault. But in order to continue driving that number down, which is a positive thing, that unemployment down, to bring on the right people and keep that relationship as long as possible, what are some of the tools that they could use?
So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go one step above. I will make a blog post for MMN with questions to ask your potential employer, red flags to look for, and for the employers, what you should be doing on the retaining side. Because that's the crux of your question, right? It's not finding an employer. Once you find them, great. It's not finding an employee. Once you find them, great. Keeping them, grooming them, making them useful is the important part, right? Because you basically, regardless of how well established that person is in their career, when they come to your organization, they're a lump of clay. You are molding them how you need them to be, right? You're leveraging their innate skills and their experience and their history, but you're absolutely molding them to your org. You should be if you're mentoring them. And so there are certain things, like the number of new hires I brought on that'll talk to me about, they didn't have one-on-ones with their managers. They didn't feel they had a sense of camaraderie with the rest of the staff, especially in a fully remote organization. I'm not saying we have it dialed in perfectly, but we're a 98% fully remote company. So I'd like to think, and across multiple continents, I'd like to think we're doing it pretty well. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going to make a full list and I'm going to put it on there. And then I'm also going to, I think we'll make it a LinkedIn post and ask the MSP world what they think. I think that could be pretty cool. But for now, I want to hear some notables, man. You got notables for me?
To my work husband, I have notables. Let's do it.
Let's do it. In my first notable mention, Windows 10 KB 502-9331 update introduces a new backup app written by Lawrence Abrams for Bleeping Computer. Microsoft's KB 502-9331, don't worry, we'll put it in the release notes and the chat notes. The preview, cumulative update for Windows 10 22H2 introduces a new backup app and 16 improvements. Unlike Patch Tuesday releases, it's optional and excludes security fixes, but also enables administrators to preview upcoming changes ahead of September's Patch Tuesday. Changes include enhanced location detection for better weather, news, and traffic data, and resolved issues with the search box display and setting synchronization. The most significant addition is the Windows Backup app, which simplifies data management by consolidating scattered backup settings and functions into a single user-friendly app for Windows 10 users. My second notable mention, Google Workspace will require 2 admins to sign off on critical changes, written by Sergio Gatlan for Bleeping Computer. Google is enhancing cybersecurity in Workspace with measures to combat social engineering attacks. One significant addition is requiring 2 administrators to sign off on critical changes, providing an extra layer of protection. This prevents unauthorized alterations and safeguards sensitive actions within Workspace. Mandatory 2-step verification, otherwise known as 2SV, for certain enterprise administrators will also be introduced, reducing the risk of compromised accounts. In addition, AI-powered Gmail defenses will extend coverage to more sensitive email actions and expedite the export of logs to Chronicle, Google's cloud-based security operations suite, to strengthen threat detection and response capabilities. Google's Andy Wen and Julie Kwan Kim highlighted that these enhancements aim to improve the ability to detect and respond to threats, especially those commonly used for attacks like phishing.
And for my first notable mention from darkreading.com of critical vulnerability CVE 2023-26359 with a CVSS score of 9.8 affects Adobe Cold Fusion 2018 update 15 and earlier and Adobe Cold Fusion 2021 update 5 and earlier. This deserialization flaw can lead to arbitrary code execution. While Adobe patched these vulnerabilities in March, they are still being exploited in limited attacks. The Federal Civilian Executive Branch has a September 11th deadline for agencies to apply the patches. Adobe advises customers to adjust security settings as per the Cold Fusion security page and update their Cold Fusion JDK JRE to the latest LTS releases for JDK 11. And in my next notable mention from bleepingcomputer.com, a new Windows 11 policy lets admins control optional updates installations. Microsoft's new Windows 11 policy lets IT admins manage monthly non-security updates. The Enable Option Updates feature from Windows 11 22H2 offers automatic or manual update choices. Users can instantly receive updates or select specific ones. Quality update settings are unaffected. Microsoft also released KB 502-9351 update, improving the search app's reliability.
Happy Friday, everyone. For today's AI Roundup from ArsTechnica.com by Benj Edwards, OpenAI has introduced fine-tuning capabilities for GPT 3.5 Turbo via its API. This enhancement lets developers train the model with custom data, potentially achieving GPT-4-like performance in certain tasks at reduced cost. With this update, developers can imbue the AI with enhanced steerability, reliable output formatting, and even a custom tone. Furthermore, fine-tuning can cut costs by reducing prompt size up to 90%. Although training and using the fine-tuned model is pricier than the base model, the reduced need for prompting might lead to savings. However, users should exercise caution with GPT 3.5 Turbo's outputs, as the model is known to occasionally generate inaccurate information. Yeah. Anyway, for privacy, OpenAI ensures users' data isn't used for AI training and is moderated using GPT-4. Notably, fine-tuning for GPT-4 is on the horizon, promising further capabilities. If you're using ChatGPT's API to do some fine-tuning, let us know how it's going in the MSP Media Network Discord. Anyway, I'm Phil Buck. This has been your AI Roundup for today. Let's check out some community events. There are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's see what's happening this week. On August 29th through the 30th, an in-person event, Cybersecurity Marketing Showcase in Chicago, Illinois. And also on the 29th, another in-person event, Huntress Cybersecurity Masterclass in Dallas, Texas. And also on the 29th, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Pitchett's Battle Royale Day 2. And then on August 30th through the 31st, our last in-person event, ASCII MSP Success Summit in Toronto, Ontario. And coming from the MSP Media Network this week, we have a full slate of shows for you. Later today at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, our newest show, Bits and Books, hosted by Marnie Stockman, and this will be episode 1 featuring the book Getting Naked. And on the 27th at 7 p.m., that's Sunday, MSP Community Live, episode 8. On Tuesday, August 29th at 7:30 p.m., Wins and Losses, episode 7. And then on August 30th, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, AI Roundup, episode 25. Also on the 30th at 1 p.m., Partner First, Secure, Simplify, Succeed with Identity and Access Management. And on September 1st at 5 p.m., a new episode of 38 at 38 with Joe Purcell of Bell Technologies. And as always on Tuesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, MSP Dispatch.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I'm a jobaholic. We all have something in common. We all have a worst job story. Each episode, I'll welcome one guest to share their most insane worst job story. And in return, I'll share one of mine. Join me the first Friday of every month for new episodes of 38 at 38.
So how'd you like today's episode? If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit it 3, 5, 7 times. If you did it right, it should sound like this. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. Did you know we also have a Discord where we post stories all week? You can propose your own stories and even vote on which ones we'll cover. As my friend Rich Banky says, make sure to tell a friend. Also be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Have any questions? Email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or leave us a voicemail, 833-MSP Network. Tony, how you feeling? We started off a little scary, but we finished pretty well. We finished pretty happy.
You know what? Amazing. I'm kicking off the weekend on behalf of everyone. Have an incredible weekend. We went through, it's clearly, we identified the problem with the dropping unemployment. You're 100% responsible for that. The unemployment numbers keep dropping, and it's starting to stress out other executives, because of you hiring people. You gave reference points for everyone to keep longer relationships, which makes it harder to hire people. You're making it more difficult for people like me. But other than the terrorizing story, the oh my gosh story, and then the oh you're making me angry story, this was a good episode as always.
I appreciate that. I love it. I learn something new every day. Even when we've covered topics in a similar vein, it's nice to be able to, like the Brave browser thing, to be able to come back a year later and still talk about it and still have relevance. I mean, that's pretty awesome. All I can say to that is, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
Be safe, everyone.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
This deserialization flaw can lead to arbitrary. Me in the. Excuse me. There's your dolphin. We did so good until then. Here we go. Go ahead and take it from the top. I'm so sorry. I'm running out of words. I'm running out of letters. Here we go. Last time.
If you're using any of these API technologies to fine-tune GPT 3.5 Turbo, let us know how it's going in the imminent... Damn it.